Festive felicitations to you. Billy Reeves here, Kscope 165, the 23 roundup. And in a year dominated by fears over AI and social media takeovers, it seems appropriate to begin with Mariusz Duda's Bots Party. Mariusz's latest LP, Afraid. Now in January we spoke to our dear friend Jonathan Hulten. Now a lot of the conversations I had with folk this year, of course, was about a post-pandemic world and how the music that they were making and the music business in general, especially live music, was changing for the good or for the bad. Now the internet, of course, is a great portal for music, but you need the visuals as well, and Jonathan is an equally talented animator and illustrator as he is guitarist and songwriter. So I asked him about how those two things combine for him.
No, I love creating visual art as much as I love writing music, so I wouldn't want to be without either of them. But the issue is that both things take a lot of time, so the progress is really slow sometimes. That's a disadvantage of working alone for sure. But at the same time, I can really enjoy that slow process of seeing something take form one step at a time. So in a way, I guess that's actually also an advantage.
All gone as I fell to the ground. Low in the deep, I was dying. Then it seemed so clear. I did wrong to stay here for so long, so now I have come to sing with all my soul and travel on, carrying the moonlight while dancing in the sun. Inspired by the endless skies, the heart split in a dyad, I can becoming one.
Jonathan Hulten, that's entitled The Mountain, that's the Forest Sessions version. Jonathan has just released a new standalone teaser single called The Well. Check it out, I'll play it in the January edition. He's on tour through Europe supporting Mercure in April, and that includes a date at the beautiful Islington Assembly Hall, and we'll see you there. 10th of April, that one. Had my first chat with HENRIK from Empyre, our new signings this year. And as we've been talking about the future of music, the conversation turned to the ABBA Voyage, Avatars show over there in East London.
Yeah, I do like ABBA, but I would never go and see them as their avatars or whatever they call them. That would just, I know they've got a live band as well, but it's just like, it's not Benny and Bjorn, is it?
Creepy. It's creepy. It's creepy, isn't it? And of course, a band that were never really that comfortable playing live. They're better now. They're not there. But the other thing that I think has always concerned me is that, and you touched on it there, is that in England, this is probably an English problem, is that we do treat musicians like shit. In Ireland, Tony Coe, the British jazzer, is a friend of mine because I know his son, Gideon. And Tony Coe said to me once that he was just moving from Ireland to France, being a jazzer. And he was saying in Ireland, the musician sits with the priest and the doctor, which I thought was a great phrase. And obviously he's off to Paris to pick up a few jazz gigs. In Britain, England possibly, the musician is treated like a scumbag, and I just don't know why. Why is that?
I can't necessarily agree with that, because we've just sold out our first headline gig, and that just tells me that there are people who are discovering us and want to come and see us and rate us highly enough, and they're all very friendly and nice. So I don't feel that way, but I do feel that it is very difficult to for us to cost effectively gig as much as we would like to, and we're still trying to grow a band. It's not like a lot of the other artists and musicians that have been and are in Kscope bands. Who are way more worldly wise than I am in terms of how a musician is considered in this country versus how they're considered wherever else around and treated. So I can only talk from my experience, and our fans are amazing. Just to date, we won Classic Rock's Track of the Week for Hit and Run, our recent single. And that's all down to them, because that's a vote. And so I've got nothing but admiration for our fans. But I understand where a lot of people are coming from. That suggestion of musicians aren't necessarily held in the same regard as other professions in this country. But I can't tell you how it is in other places, because I just simply don't know.
That makes me feel a lot more positive. Actually, I'm going to finish there, and I'm going to finish on a high. That's made me feel a lot better. That has. I love your positive vibes, man.
No call to action. All I'm feeling is disdain, no false reaction. Silence kills those that are straight by startled. They burn the bridges that were made, so I'll go my own
The tough, sweaty art rock of Empyre. That's entitled Parasites, from the Kscope album Relentless. From the new to the established, Alex Lifeson of Rush up next. Or in this context, of course, Alex Lifeson, the guitarist of Envy of None. Now, Envy of None in the summer released a sibling album to their debut album, Envy of None. It was entitled That Was Then, and was a kind of a teaser, a suggestion, the band said, of what was going to happen next. So I got straight on to Alex and asked him, is there going to be some new stuff? And he was very effusive.
There's a good chance that we're going to continue writing. I do have a folder on my desktop that Andy sent us some ideas for Envy of None 2, or as we like to call it, Eon number 2. We've all spoken about the pleasure that we've had working together and how fruitful it was, and I don't see why we wouldn't continue. It was a real treat to work together as a team. We shared files, and we all were involved in every aspect of it, and it was really a very democratic setup that we had. Everybody worked, everybody shared. It's all together, all for one for all. I think that doing another record soon would actually make sense. We seem to be on a flow in terms of ideas and how we hear the material of Envy of None, and the quality of the recording and mixing. There's a certain something about it that we really, really enjoyed. So I guess we'd definitely jump back into it. I know that I'd love to, and Andy would, and Maya's mentioned that she's up for it too, and of course Alf would be, so why not? Let's see what happens.
Words unfolding, oh you're burning me in the fire. I don't wanna be standing on a wire when you walk away from me. Will you hold my hand to watch me crawl? What is it that you really see? Always patronizing, agonizing, so dehumanizing when you're looking down at me. 1 + 1 = 3, but she never gave back to me. All you ever did was make me feel dumb. 1 + 1 = 3, but she never gave back to me. All you ever did was to make me feel dumb.
Starring the mighty Maya Wynn on vocals. They're called Envy of None. That's from That Was Then, and that's entitled Dumb, the Dummkopf mix. And Alf and Maya were kind of suggesting that the new stuff's going to be in that vein. We await with bated breath and bated other things too. Now in May, I went to Wales. Now this was quite an emotional moment for me because it was the first time that I'd interviewed a Kscope act in the flesh since lockdown. The previous band in late 2019 was Godsticks, so it was absolutely perfectly simpatico that the first band I interviewed in the flesh after lockdown was our dear friends Godsticks. All 4 of them down at Darren Charles's. And Darren had been talking about writing riffs which were so difficult that he was worried about injuring the drummer. So I asked them all whether or not playing this music had caused any injuries in the past.
I have. I got tons of injuries. I have got tons of injuries. I got a really bad shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Got bad shoulder.
Bad neck
really bad. I have got messed up my shoulder of late. I've been on physio and stuff on my shoulder.
And that's due to playing ridiculously fast.
It isn't so much that I suppose it's like tension. I just always a little bit tense when I play, so I've had to relax. But also when learning these tracks now, learn to sing and play because I wouldn't have
done at the same time.
It's a pain in the ass. It's like constant repetition because you never we was talking about it the other day, weren't we? Because you can never. There's no method, to learning to play and sing at the same time. There's no method. It's just you got to keep keep playing it over and over and over again until it finally clicks. So you can't even like I said, I wish it was just a method for it.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's tough. I mean, do you have a question for you as second guitarist, right? Do you ever feel like, let's just phone it in? Seriously with this one, this is just too much. it's too much work. Can't I just play G?
Yeah, open cowboy chords.
Yeah,
please.
isn't there some sort of pedal right and just go and show the audience? Going,
Well, it is nice to have. There are some moments during the songs where they're pretty simple, should I say, and it's necessary to have those simple parts of the songs. So
Have a little bit of a breather.
have a bit of a breather.
and there's a throw in.
Yeah. But I suppose warming up before you're playing is important,
right,
and that
okay.
prevents injury
Yeah,
to a degree.
I actually think this is easier to play than something like, just a straightforward, like say Led Zeppelin acoustic number or something like that.
Yeah.
Because those kind of things rely on feel and just playing and
Melodic
leaving
passages are easier
spaces
to-
and having. Whereas like when there's stuff that's busy going on, you haven't got time to think. It's like it's
that's
quite
a good way of
easy.
putting
I
it,
think
yeah.
it's a lot. I'd find this a lot easier than I would just strumming a guitar song. Just something on acoustic. And
Is
I
that-
don't
is-
think that music's any. In fact, I look up to that kind of music. I like to write that
Is that
stuff.
because you're trying to keep people's attention? Because if you're worried that you're going to get bored, are you worried that they're going to get bored? And also on that same question, as you've said many times before, that you didn't start playing live for ages because you thought it was bizarre that anybody would want to listen to you. Right, so are those
I've
two?
never said that. You just put words in my
No,
mouth.
it's-
I won't wait now.
But you didn't. That's why you started late. You didn't have any sort of like
No,
compunction to be in a band.
didn't have
So
any
now you
desire.
are in a band, and now this band is grizzled. Right, you want to keep people's attention because you feel as though they'd get bored.
The heavier side of stuff that we eventually sort of ventured into, that was. I always imagine again. It's come back to that story I told. I always these days I write, wondering what it would sound like live and what it would sound like as me as an audience member. And I know that, like, even though we do like a lot of softer type of stuff. Live wise, there's just more interest for me as a listener and as an audience member in the heavier stuff because I just want to nod your head.
Godsticks from This Is What a Winner Looks Like. That's called Don't Say a Word to Me. It's a real highlight of their live set. Went and saw them in the summer. Brilliant, tiny weeny little venue in London. Not only one of the best gigs I've been to this year, but one of the best nights out. Proper thumping, shredding evening of rock that was. And Godsticks are doing some club dates, January the 31st, February the 1st and February the 2nd, Bristol, Manchester and London. These are to warm up for a big festival appearance in Porthcawl on February the 3rd at the Winter's End Festival. Empyre are doing that as well. Godsticks. Been a massive year for TesseracT, hasn't it? All 5 of them have spoken to me. Highlight of their career, a massive worldwide tour, a new album, and for Dan Tompkins, the live version of his Ruins project. And I've spoken to all 5 of them, as I say. So let's start off with speaking to Dan Tompkins, his advice for musicians starting out.
I think you do have to side hustle to begin with. You've got to find an avenue within music which is going to help you bring in some pocket money. I would say it helps to get into it sooner rather than later, especially before you have those big financial commitments as an adult, which I got completely wrong, and I did it the opposite way. But that's helpful. I think you've obviously got to be very willing to go out there and promote your music, and I still feel like the word of mouth today is still very valuable. So I think being out there on the road and touring and making friends and being personable with being very open and creating and cultivating a following is still incredibly important, because I think people fall into the illusion that it's all about TikTok and social media and getting recognised, and it really isn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are examples of artists that have broken through and garnered a big following from social media, but it is few and far between. There are not many artists that manage to get successful and get very lucky with social media. Most people don't care, I find, unless you're willing to be a content creator and be at the grind trying to compete with what's the latest trend. I would say for me that is not where I like to sit. I want to be a creator, and I've always wanted to just do TesseracT or just sing. And I also had the illusion that actually being in a rock and metal band meant that I would have financial stability when I first started. And of course, we all know that that's not a thing. But I learned to sing, I learned my craft, and then I began to teach people my craft after, garnering a very trusting and loyal fan base. And I think that I always remember this. I had an old manager of mine from a long time ago once told me that if you can make it as an artist, if you can garner 1,000 loyal fans that will buy every CD, that will buy every piece of merchandise that you put out. So if you think about it, that's not that difficult to achieve in the grand scheme of things, 1,000 people, is it? I mean, you just got to put your focus into your music and your art and believe in it and want to do it. That's the main thing.
Castles don't survive. The king's emptied halls. With your hand in mine, we conquered it all.
Daniel Tompkins, Ruins, the live experience. That's the title track, and you can download the whole thing, visuals, the lot, from Daniel Tompkins's website. Now, the remarkable Gleb Kolyadin released his new album on Kscope in the late summer, early autumn, featuring Gavin Harrison from King Crimson and the Pineapple Thief and Porcupine Tree on drums. Gleb has recently moved to England. I wonder how that's been for him.
Everything is still very new for me. I have nothing to complain about anyway, because everyone here is very kind and friendly, and I didn't expect that, sincerely. Everyone is trying to help and recommend good places, like tasty fish and chips. Plus, I often go to open mic nights at various pubs, so I've made some new friends here. But I think perhaps the most challenging thing here, aside from the fact that everything is significantly more expensive than I'm used to, is organizing my daily routine. When you have been living at home for many years, you know where to go for groceries or where to grab a snack. But here I still have a daily struggle of how to organize my leisure time or some basic things. But anyway, it's quite exciting because, I don't know, I see it as a sort of quest.
Gleb Kolyadin from I Am the Morning. His album is called The Outland, and I understand he has recently discovered mushy peas. Now, around the time that the TesseracT album came out, War of Being, I'd spoken to all the members. And as I said, one of the leitmotifs of this year's podcast has been talking about the future of live music, and the perfect person to speak to about that, being king of metal guitar and through his work with Hold Tight PR, is, of course, Jim Metal himself, James Monteith.
Everything's been changing very, very quickly. Like last year, we were still feeling the effects of COVID in terms of seeing how erratic things were, how sales were and attendances, and lots of cancellations, and I guess audiences not having confidence in shows happening, or because of all the sort of post effects. Whereas this year, it feels that, despite all the challenges you just mentioned, which are all correct, it feels like it's booming. Tours are selling really well. I mean, Download festivals sold out 4 days, which is incredible. Also, things like the Heavy Music Awards, happened earlier this year. They managed to put on a rock music awards event at Wembley Arena, which I think shows how much like the wider world is sort of paying attention to rock music, both recorded and in the live sense. So I feel like in general everything is incredibly healthy at the moment. But you're right, we've got loads of challenges to deal with. Like the whole Brexit thing is a nightmare. We could talk for hours about that, so we'll move on from that because I might get a bit annoyed. I feel like live music is strong enough, the audiences are enthusiastic enough, and the music out there at the moment is great enough that we'll work this out one way or the other.
Positive vibes from Mr. Monteith, Amos?
Fundamentally, people like getting together. Even the pandemic couldn't stop that. I feel that regardless of the style of music, people are sociable creatures, and they really, really love the experience of a show. Even a humble, everyday, regular gig is something that is very difficult to experience in any other scenario. I don't feel that is in danger. I just feel that we have new ways of experiencing that, or experiencing the content of that, experiencing the art within it. But in the same way that people like to put music on their headphones, it's just another form of how to enjoy music, not the be-all and end-all. It's a medium through which, if we're clever, we can learn to exploit. Say, music through video games, or music through things like having a worldwide show that is online. It's just going to be another string to our bow, hopefully.
Watch out for the Billy Reeves Kscope podcast interview special with TesseracT, which will be coming in your ears via your favourite podcast platform shortly. That's echoes from a War of Being. And TesseracT's mammoth War of Being world tour continues next year through Europe, the UK, Ireland, Australia, India, Singapore, Hong Kong and Japan. Interesting what James Monteith was saying there about gig confidence. I myself found myself going to a lot more gigs this year. Saw Bruce Soord recently at Nels, that was great. Gong, tremendous, more of them in a bit. And OZRICS, High Wycombe, that was brilliant, that was. And here's me hanging out with Ed and the band backstage. Yeah. What's so lovely about coming to see OZRICS is that one kind of knows it's always the same but always different, but certainly one of the things that's always the same one knows is that, you know, you're going to have a smile on one's face and you're going to be amongst some lovely people, and yet the music is abstract. You're not saying anything, but you are saying something. Can you let's analyse it. Why is it that your music is abstract and yet it attracts all these lovely people?
Well, me and Silas, we were having this conversation the other day, and we suspect that there's this realm where it all dwells, all that amazing fucking cosmic music that dwells in this realm. And if you get the right bit of music, you can open a little doorway and have one view, taste a little bit of the essence of this realm where music simply is. That's very obscure, isn't it? But we did have this conversation the other day, and I can't remember what the question was, but you did ask something.
It appears to be abstract, and yet it says
sure. No, and in that way, you see, it's a direct message of basically what we're trying to put across is to be upful, keep it clear, keep it nice, keep it lovely, life if you can. That's how our philosophy works, and we try and portray that in the music. So sometimes people come along and they feel some of that, and when they do, and it sometimes cures them of all kinds of things, hopefully on a good day. So again, you know, what was the question?
Well, my answer to it is that it's tidy chaos.
Thank you. That's much easier, isn't it?
I'm also back me up on this. I've said this 100 times if I've said it once. That if I was running a record shop, I would file OZRICS under funk. People say to me, Billy, why do you like Ozrics? Do you like funk? Funk is my favourite thing. I'd
Right,
say
okay.
to them, because Ozrics are a funk band.
Can do that at times, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, all right. That's doesn't often get said, does it, that one? But sure.
Yeah.
If you want fun, you see, we try.
Is that all right?
Yeah, I mean, fine. I like it, hearing that. Yeah.
And I think the current album is very funky.
Do you? I thought it was very... there was more acoustic guitar than I expected to put on there.
But it's fat.
It's fat.
P-H-A-T,
Yeah,
isn't
it is, actually, yeah.
It's bassy.
Yeah, I think the new guitar that I got has got very heavy strings on it, this acoustic guitar. So it's a bit more clunky and thumpy and maybe funky.
It totally is. Do you, when you finished a piece, is that when you title it? There's not very many groups that would think of calling a song Burundi Spaceport. Which way round does it happen?
That happened at the end. Sometimes it's the very first thing, because when you start one little idea on the computer, first thing you do is save your idea, and it asks you to name it.
Naturally.
At this incredibly young stage in its life. So that's sometimes how those things, like naming a little infant before you've met it, probably, or something,
okay.
you know. So either way it can go. Sometimes they lend themselves to what's going on there, you know. Like Burundi Spaceport sounds like a spaceport in Burundi in Africa.
It's completely what it sounds like.
Exactly.
And
So,
I saw the title and I kind of knew what it was going to sound like, Tidy
Sure.
Chaos.
Exactly, yeah, there we go. That's a good title as well. There.
From Lotus Unfolding, Ozric Tentacles, the wonderfully entitled Burundi Spaceport. And the Ozrics have been on tour, of course, with Gong, and they pick up the Double Dip Psychedelic Baton and tour together through March of 2024 as well, before Ozrics go to Europe. And KAVUS TORABI, fronting Gong these days, of course, one of the hardest working persons in show business, DJing, solo gigs with Miranda Sexgarden, gigs with Steve Davis, DJ sets with Steve Davis. And I caught up with KAVUS just before he did 3 performances at Glastonbury. Really pleasing that there's gongsters, that there's Planet Gong.
It's really, really incredible. I mean, for all of us, this is our kind of, this is sort of our main band, our main band. And it could have died on its arse. And really, I mean, it could have been. I mean, I was really, when we first started, I may have said this to you before, I was really, really nervous about how it was going to be perceived, and also because you can't go in too much as a fan, because I think then you'll be too beholden to this idea of what you think it should be. You've got to almost play a bit fast and loose with it.
Yeah.
I know, and of course there'll always be a couple of Gong classics that we'll play.
Yeah.
But we'd rather be playing what we're doing now, and while people really
Well, I
like
guess there are Gong classics that are fun to play, and
Yeah.
there would be Gong classics that would be quite painful to play, both emotionally and physically.
Yeah, well,
do your tendons in.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, well, the one problem, David's voice is higher than mine, so I sing stuff I've written much better, you know.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So there is that, but then also, I don't know. It's just that people we get lots and lots of positive feedback from people. That this is what they want us to keep moving into what we're doing.
I think that's partly David's legacy as well. Is the way I look at it, because there was plenty of iterations of Gong, and there was plenty of movement in Gong, and Gong were number one in a field of one.
Yeah,
a lot of the time. What happens next? I mean, you're really busy. Gong have been invited to perform at lots of pop concerts over the next 3 seasons, I guess. You've got your Scandinavian trip, and then the 2 trips out with the OZRICS.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the crazy world of Arthur Brown. The OZRICS, I guess there's a certain simpatico with fans, and there's a certain simpatico with Ed. What can we expect from the double dip psychedelic experience of the joint tour?
We did one last year.
Yeah.
With OZRICS, and got on really, really well. You know, both bands. I mean, we toured with Ed anyway, and he's a pal, and Silas and Saskia and what have you. We're all pals anyway. But it was amazing. I think one of the best tours either of us have ever done. Yeah. Regardless of who was headlining, it went down really, really well. Yeah. Headlining, we're doing both doing the same length sets, whoever was first or last. We didn't even know that we were, it could happen again, and straight away all the promoters were like, let's do that again. That was amazing. So, we both got new albums out.
Yeah,
so.
and, well, that's what's so great about it. Label mates.
Yeah.
Right? Both got albums ready to go around the time that you're hitting that second or two. Was that? I just love to think it wasn't deliberate, though, was it?
It wasn't deliberate. No.
I'd love there to have been a meeting in a yurt somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Gong, BBC Six Music favourites these days, of course. That's All Clocks Reset, and the album is entitled Unending Ascending. We had another Bruce Soord solo album this year, Luminescence. Absolutely beautiful, very pretty, introspective.
Wouldn't it? Yeah.
Because being introspective is tough when you're in middle age, and when you're a kid, you can be wider girls don't like me, and this soft down hair.
And also life is infinite, isn't it? When you're a 20-year-old, you don't, and so now you're 50, and you're kind of thinking, oh my goodness, the days really are numbered. Not just that, but my kids are only going to be home for a bit long. Well, actually, probably not. They'll probably be home forever. But
these days,
the time is just things are passing by so quickly.
But what a legacy to leave them!
This longing to understand what on earth it's all about. And that basically is everything that informs my writing, I think.
Well, that's why pop music is the greatest of all the human abstracts, you see, because it appeals to all the senses and all the branches of the intellect, I think, including smell, and that's what I love about your music, because I think it's brave.
Oh, yeah, well, I never thought of it like that, but and the other thing of it, of course, being in this room when you're writing really introspective stuff, in the dark winter nights, especially when some songs weren't going so well, and you'd spend a week on an idea that would end up in the bin, and then you start new ones. It's very solitary, and you can find yourself actually getting quite I wouldn't say I ever got down, but you get, it's quite an intense thing to put your brain through.
Yeah, well, especially as it's part of your income and it's feeding the people opposite you.
I found that the words were so important, not just what you were saying, but how you were saying it,
they're
and
exposed, aren't they?
yeah, and so I would sometimes spend a whole day on 5 or 6 words in a chorus, and by the end of it, you're going absolutely
that's the downside of not working to the clock in a traditional studio, isn't it?
Yeah, come on, yeah. And some days I'd end the day and I'd be so mentally exhausted, and then I'd wake up the next day and then it would be like, whoa, there it is. Right, of course, that's what it. Some, not always, but that's when, and now I listen back to it and I realise that attention to detail has really paid off.
Shadows cast over our remains, with the wounded leaves still clinging on for dear life, for dear life, for dear life. Don't wish it away, wish that it will all be over in the sweetest place. Glow. Barely time to dry those saddest eyes I know. After all we have seen, still clinging on for dear life, still for dear. Don't wish it away, wish that it will all be over. Sweetest flame of the night. Don't wish it away, wish that it will all be over. In the sweetest flame of the night. Don't wish it away, wish that it will all be over. And don't wish it away, wish that will all be over. Don't wish it away, wish that it will all be over. In the sweetest flame of the night. This light.
Bruce Soord, Dear Life, from the album Luminescence. What a great song that is. And the short tour for Luminescence has been memorialised as a live album called Caught in the Hum. Signed CDs of that are available. There was also the Pineapple Thief 8-disc book set which came out this year, which is entitled How Did We Find Our Way? The new album, It Leads to This, and the associated tour on pre-sale now. Thanks for all of your suggestions of something we should play the year out with that isn't on Kscope, part of the family perhaps. Much discussion about it, but I've taken an executive decision. You may be familiar with this band if you get out and about or you read Prog magazine. We absolutely love them. They've got a new album out right now entitled News from the Invisible World, all the way from Rushden, the mighty, the fierce and the dead. This is entitled Suitably Wonderful. The fierce and the dead. Thanks very much for listening to the Kscope podcast this year. It thrives. Do please like it wherever you find it. Do please share it. I think in an ugly world, it's very important that artists equalise with beauty. And what could be more beautiful than French art rockers Clone from their album earlier this year. Meanwhile, this is entitled Bystander. You might have seen them on tour with the beautiful Devin Townsend. And my name is Billy Reeves, and I'll see you next year. Ta-da!